On the damp, mist-shrouded morning of October 12, 2019, a heavy-duty convoy of flatbed trucks rumbled along the narrow, winding asphalt of the Great Glen in the Scottish Highlands. Secured to the rear beds of these vehicles were 10 massive, reinforced timber crates, specially designed with steel reinforcement to withstand immense internal pressure. Inside the dark, slatted enclosures, 200 powerful heartbeats thudded in unison against the vibrations of the road, their breath condensing into thick plumes of vapor in the frigid Caledonian air. The local transport drivers had been instructed only to deliver the cargo to a highly remote, perimeter-fenced expanse of the Allerdale Wilderness Reserve, without being told exactly what they were transporting. As the hydraulic lifts began to groan and the wooden, heavy-bolted doors were positioned toward the open, heather-covered moorland, a profound silence fell over the glen. A mystery hung in the damp air as the latches were finally thrown, for no one present truly understood the chaotic, primordial force that was about to be unleashed across this fragile ecosystem. What unfolded across the landscape over the subsequent 48 months was an ecological phenomenon that absolutely no one predicted. It was a transformation so swift and radical that it completely stunned the supervising field researchers, initiating a wave of intense debate that scientists within global conservation organizations still discuss to this day. My name is Christopher Vance, and this is the full arc of the wild boar experiment in the Scottish Highlands. By the time this narrative concludes, you will understand 3 specific things about the natural world. First, you will see how an ecosystem can become profoundly paralyzed when it loses its most destructive inhabitants. Second, you will discover the hidden mechanism by which a seemingly barren landscape remembers its ancient past. And third, you will understand why true ecological restoration requires humans to relinquish control and tolerate a necessary degree of absolute chaos. But to understand the profound impact of these 200 wild boars, you must first start not with the animals themselves, but with the silent, suffocating carpet of bracken fern and dense moss that had gripped the Scottish Highlands for centuries. For over 400 years, the rolling hills of northern Scotland have been romanticised as a pristine wilderness. Yet to an ecologist, they represented a dying landscape, a beautiful forensic scene of ecological depletion. The famous Caledonian pine forest had shrunk to less than 1% of its original footprints, unable to regenerate because the forest floor had become an impenetrable, tightly packed mattress of undecomposed organic matter. According to a landmark study published in the Journal of Applied Ecology in 2012, the lack of soil disturbance in temperate woodlands leads to a severe stagnation of nutrient cycling, effectively locking seeds away from the mineral earth they require to germinate. The highlands were trapped in a state of biological suspended animation, where old trees died and no new seedlings could pierce the thick turf to take their place. Conservationists tried using heavy machinery, bulldozers and manual harrowing to tear open the earth, yet these human interventions were costly, localized and ultimately ineffective. They needed something that could operate continuously, something that possessed an instinctual drive to disrupt the status quo of the soil. They needed a classic ecosystem engineer, a highly specialized keystone species capable of fracturing this green monoculture from the bottom up. Yet, as the first researchers monitored the initial release from a distance, the early data suggested the animals were failing to adapt to the harsh terrain, and many feared the entire project would collapse before winter. But that is not what happened. Instead, the 200 wild boars quickly adapted, utilizing their highly specialized cartilaginous snouts to act as biological plows. A wild boar possesses a snout reinforced by a unique bone structure called the prenasal bone, allowing it to exert tremendous upward force through compacted earth, rocks, and frozen roots. As they began to forage for their preferred diet of bracken rhizomes, bluebell bulbs, and subterranean fungi, they turned the Scottish soil over with astonishing efficiency. A single mature boar can disturb several square meters of dense earth in a single hour, exposing the long-buried mineral soil directly to sunlight and moisture. In a paper published in the journal Biological Conservation in 2016, researchers demonstrated that this specific behavior, known as rooting, fundamentally alters the physical structure of the soil, increasing its porosity and allowing microclimates to form within the miniature trenches. The boars were systematically dismantling the suffocating carpet of bracken fern, creating millions of tiny, fertile seedbeds across thousands of acres. Yet while the physical alteration of the ground was immediately apparent to the tracking teams, the deeper botanical response remained entirely hidden beneath the snow during the first 2 years of the project. The scientists watched the muddy, devastated patches of earth spread across the glen, and began to worry that the boars were simply destroying the landscape rather than saving it. What they found next changed everything. As the third spring arrived, the barren, muddy trenches created by the boars did not remain empty. Instead, they exploded with an unprecedented abundance of life that had not been seen in the Highlands for centuries. Seeds that had lain dormant in the seed bank for generations, some buried for over 100 years beneath the suffocating moss, suddenly found themselves exposed to the precise combination of light, oxygen and mineral contact required for germination. Millions of native Scots pine seedlings, silver birch and rowan saplings began to sprout simultaneously within the protective furrows ploughed by the boars' snouts. The wild boars had effectively broken the ecological deadlock that had paralysed the Caledonian forest for 4 centuries. Furthermore, the rooting behaviour of the animals had an unexpected cascading effect on the local insect populations. By exposing the deeper layers of soil and decomposing leaf litter, the boars created a continuous, highly accessible food source for countless species of beetles, grubs and invertebrates. This sudden surge in insect biomass immediately attracted vast flocks of insectivorous birds, such as the rare capercaillie and the black grouse, which began nesting near the boar-disturbed areas in numbers that defied all historical trends. The entire food web was expanding outward from the mud, vibrating with a newfound complexity. But as the scientists celebrated this remarkable ecological breakthrough, they realised their funding was rapidly depleting, and local political opposition was mounting from neighbouring landowners who feared the animals would escape and destroy commercial agricultural fields. It appeared that human bureaucracy would halt the experiment just as it was succeeding, and nobody expected what came after. And here is where the story turns on a piece of pure luck. In the late autumn of the 3rd year, an exceptionally severe and unseasonal storm system swept across the northern coast of Scotland, bringing with it hurricane-force winds that devastated the region's commercial timber plantations. Millions of pounds worth of non-native Sitka spruce trees were snapped like matchsticks, creating an unprecedented crisis for the local forestry sector and completely blocking the access roads around the Allerdale Reserve. However, within the boundaries of the Wild Boar project, a completely different story unfolded. The boars had spent the previous years thinning out the weak, shallow-rooted vegetation and creating deep, undulating topography through their continuous digging. When the violent winds struck the reserve, the native Scots pine and birch saplings that had grown within the deep boar furrows were completely sheltered from the initial kinetic impact of the storm. Moreover, the extensive rooting had forced the surviving mature trees to develop deeper, more resilient root systems to anchor themselves in the disturbed, aerated earth. While the surrounding commercial forests were completely levelled by the disaster, the wild boar territory emerged from the storm largely intact, demonstrating a profound, self-healing climate resilience that stunned insurance adjusters and government officials alike. This sudden, undeniable proof of ecological stability instantly shifted public opinion, securing long-term funding from private philanthropic foundations who saw the boars as a natural defence mechanism against extreme weather events. Yet, as the human opposition faded and the project secured its future, a new and far more complex dilemma began to manifest within the depths of the regenerating forest. Could this newly restored ecosystem survive the impending arrival of winter without human intervention? Or would the boars overpopulate and ultimately consume the very forest they had worked so hard to create? This critical question forced the researchers to confront a much larger historical and cultural reality, one that connected the survival of these animals to the deep history of the human relationship with the Scottish landscape. Wild boars were originally driven to complete extinction in the British Isles during the 17th century due to relentless overhunting and systematic deforestation. For generations, the collective cultural memory of the Scottish people had recast the Highlands as a barren, treeless waste of heather and deer, forgetting that it was once a dark, thriving, temperate rainforest filled with apex predators and large herbivores. By reintroducing the boars, the project was not merely conducting a biological experiment. They were actively challenging a deeply ingrained cultural myth, attempting to decolonize a landscape that had been artificialized by centuries of sheep farming and elite sporting estates. However, this effort quickly generated a formidable antagonist in the form of the traditional deer stalking industry. For over a century, wealthy landowners had maintained unnaturally high populations of red deer for trophy hunting, a practice that required keeping the landscape completely open and devoid of thick forest cover. The deer interests viewed the rapid return of the Caledonian forest as a direct existential threat to their traditional lifestyle and commercial livelihoods. They argued that the boars were an invasive nuisance that would alter the iconic open character of the Scottish hills forever, lobbying Parliament to have the animals classified as a dangerous biosecurity hazard. The stakes rose to a fever pitch as legal injunctions were threatened, creating a tense standoff between old money tradition and modern ecological science. But the biggest surprise was still to come. The ultimate payoff of the experiment materialized in the fourth year, revealing a transformation that was nothing short of miraculous. The forest that had once been a silent, monochromatic expanse of purple heather and grey rock was now completely unrecognizable. Visually, the landscape had shifted from a flat, two-dimensional plain into a dynamic, multi-layered mosaic of shifting colors and textures. Where there had once been only the dead silence of stagnant moorland, there was now a rich, complex symphony of rustling birch leaves, the deep, rhythmic grunting of foraging herds, and the vibrant calling of thousands of newly arrived birds. The specific data collected by the research teams in late 2023 painted an extraordinary picture of ecological recovery. Over the course of 48 months, the density of native tree seedlings within the experimental zones had increased by an astonishing 800%. The total depth of the suffocating bracken layer had been reduced by nearly 70% across the primary foraging zones, replaced by an abundant carpet of native grasses, wild violets, and wood anemones. Organic soil samples revealed a 40% increase in microbial diversity, indicating that the nutrient cycle was functioning at a velocity not witnessed in the region for 4 centuries. The land had shifted from empty to full, from a state of biological decay into a roaring engine of biodiversity. The small, fragile saplings that had emerged from the mud were no longer just plants. They were the pillars of a new forest world, a living testament to the fact that the earth does not need human management to heal itself, it simply needs its ancient architects. In the quiet twilight of the Scottish Highlands, where the shadows of the newly risen pines stretch long across the rich, turned earth, one is reminded that a landscape does not truly forget its past, it merely waits for the return of the voices that once defined it. We spend so much of our short lives attempting to curate and control the natural world, building fences and drafting master plans. Yet the profound transformation of this glen teaches us that true stewardship often requires us to step aside and allow the wild to reauthor its own destiny. By returning these 200 ancient engineers to the soil, we did not create a new forest. We simply allowed the old world to remember how to breathe, leaving a living, breathing legacy for the generations who will walk beneath these deep canopies long after our own names have faded into the mist. What are your thoughts on the reintroduction of wild boars and the concept of rewilding our remaining natural spaces? If you found value in this story of ecological transformation, please consider subscribing to the channel to support our ongoing exploration of the natural world. My name is Christopher Vance, and thank you for listening.